name is Cream Ray, and I'm the founder of One Soccer Nation. Our objective is to help aspiring soccer players to achieve success in the beautiful game we both love. Today we're here with Alexis Geraldino. He is the founder of New Jersey.
Geraldino.
Sorry about that, Geraldino. He's the founder of New Jersey Team.
Geraldino is Portuguese, Brazilian, but Geraldino, it's the Spanish, version. So it's Geraldino.
Geraldino. There we go. Okay, Geraldino. He is the founder of New Jersey Teamsterz FC with his wife, Sabrina Geraldino. Thank you for joining us. How's your day going on so far?
Everything's great.
Nice. So, Alexis, can you take us back in time of, where soccer all started for you?
Soccer, the New Jersey Teamsterz Football Club. Well, a little bit behind the scenes from that. I played American football, not soccer.
Okay.
So I was a walk-on, with in Europe. Played in Graz, Austria, and Stuttgart, Germany, and USA national team. And so that, my passion was always been American football. And then when my career ended, the short stint that I had, I looked into becoming an agent in American football, but because there was so much involved in that, transitioned over. I met some individuals who kind of like, I didn't say asked, well, not so much that, not that, a little bit behind that. My wife is a socialite, so we travel a lot to Brazil and Colombia, and everyone, every time we reach, go there, her friends, husbands, they were like, oh, football in America. Can you help me get to America and play football? And I was like, well, so it's a supply and demand type of scenario. And I was like, it got me thinking, like, well, let me see how I can get these players into America. Maybe I can represent them. So I looked into what it would take to become a soccer agent, an intermediary. And, we looked into that, and one thing led to another because it was a stall due to the FIFA scandal at the time. And they wouldn't call us back. So my wife reached out to the president at the time, which was Geraldino, and he was a professor at Columbia University. And, my wife said, hey, listen, your organization's not getting back to us. What kind of, what's going on? So he investigated, and within, minutes or so, hour or so, they got back to me and said, hey, we just got your paperwork and you're good to go. Even though I already had high clearance because of my job, my day job. And so there wasn't a problem, doing the background check. So I got that. And then I was, looking for players. So my whole thought process behind that was, well, I'm not chasing players. So I met some individuals at the MLS draft, and they were like, hey, we're looking to expand into the East Coast or Northeast, and hopefully you can help us, because we have, our network is pretty, it's pretty large, and including my wife's. And so we were like, well, I don't know anything about soccer per se, but I'm interested in, having my own team, my own franchise. So I looked into that, and we made some arrangements, and that's how I got involved with the UPSL and soccer. So that's the short part of it.
Yeah, that's amazing. So this took place starting in January 2016. You're still doing it, so it's been 5 years now. So you're a U.S. soccer intermediary or sports agent, and how was the experience for you? Did you enjoy it? How was your experience?
As an intermediary, it didn't really. It was just a starting point to sport of football, soccer, right? It's a learning curve where I started meeting individuals. I became a lot more. I dove like really into it and say, okay, if I'm gonna do this, I have to be all in.
Right.
And so started networking, meeting a lot of individuals, and we played our first season in 2018, I believe. It was some learning curves there, this, that, So I took it upon myself to learn each part of the business, from the GM part to the stadium operations to sponsorship to everything. So my wife and I, my wife marketed the team. She was responsible for that. And yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. So we're relatively a small group still. My head coach takes care of everything, anything that has involved in player recruitment, um, on the pitch scenarios. Um, and then we did all the off the pitch, took care of all that, the finance. I financed it myself, and I
Nice.
continue to do it. So
Nice. And was it a hard transition for you? Like you played football and then you went into soccer. So was it a hard transition or was it like, okay, not at all? Okay.
no, because sports is sports, right? It's just a different rules. The only thing that's different is the rules, right? Um, that's about it. But the business aspect, I mean, I have 20 plus years in supply chain management, contracts, sports. My wife has 20 plus years in the entertainment and music industry, and she has her own PR and communication firm.
Nice.
So relatively, combine that experience, it's like, running a business. She was an entrepreneur. I'm more on the bureaucrat side of things. And so, you know, it's like look at Real Madrid, when the front office folks when walked in there, they took over a pretty much bankrupt organization or team. They made it to a Fortune 500 or multi-billion-dollar business. They didn't know anything about soccer. They walked in there, was like, okay, well, we know business. So it's like, okay, let's make this work. Just got to align yourself with the right individuals.
Understood. Understood. And, let's tap into New Jersey Teamster FC. This is very exciting. How do you feel about it right now?
Oof. Um, I'm really excited. I don't look and I don't sound it, but um, to me, it's a passion. It's like almost as if I'm playing football. So everything that I would want to be part of, to become part of, that's what I'm bringing forth to my organization, to my players, making sure that they eat right, they sleep right, they look good, they play well, um, the image, everything, from that. So it's like this is what we're doing or what we have done is presented a platform, a pathway for those that for not only for the players, for the coaches, the staff who aspire to become more.
Right. Um, what do you see happening for your club in the next 5 years, 5 to 10 years?
So that's the intermediate goal. Um, we'll be in uh again playing pro Division 3, um, having our own facility, on be able to operate it, and creating another pathway, which it's currently on the way. Right? Basically, it's just the filing part of it. So we also have a minority ownership into a first division team in Ireland.
Mm,
So this will be a platform to springboard for our players and coaches to go abroad. So it'll be an easier pathway to the UEFA level.
and for players that hold a U.S., an American citizenship, going to Ireland, how is that? Is that possible? Is it a smooth transaction or okay? Or what's that process like?
Yeah, yeah. It's an easier process, it's an easier transaction because it's really not. It's a lot more flexible with foreign players.
Got it.
So in our community, we have a lot of Irish. It's the Irish community, and so for them to be able to, go back and it's something that they're embracing, and pretty much our team is a diverse, team basically from color, race, religion. We have a pretty diverse team and organization rather, and we've the reason why the diversity is one of the reasons why we become so acceptable in our community because it's not we're not just not one. looking to just hire or play or have players that are just from one specific ethnicity or come from one, specific religion. We're pretty much well rounded, and so we pretty much become a lot flexible, and as to how we move forward.
Yeah. And we were just talking about I Quit. So on the Discovery Channel. So tell us a little bit about that.
So that was the idea my wife got me into. She said, "Listen, this is a good opportunity to showcase the team and the behind the scene of what a business owner, a soccer business owner, has to go through on a lower level, soccer." I keep saying soccer, and I should be saying football, but I don't want to
Football.
confuse it too,
Okay.
because we're in America.
Yeah.
And so they came to us, they casted us, they loved us. They say, "Hey, this is an unconventional type of business." So the I Quit show is basically someone leaving an industry to go into something else. So my wife, in this case, she's leaving the entertainment and music industry to I'm sorry, this is getting a little bit distorted. She's leaving the music and entertainment industry to help me, push this team forward. So through the I Quit um, docu series is basically about six small business, I would say startups, and vying for, the whole concept is from where they were to where they are to where they want to be a year from now, a year from then.
Mm.
And for us, we was on an amateur level, so they captured the whole aspect of, from us operating the facility to managing finance to funding the finance to trials and tribulations that we've gone through, and what our ultimate goal was to get to the pro level. So it was a big deal, when it came to, oh, you guys are too ambitious. You guys should be focusing on X and not Y. Well, there's a process to that, in order to get fans in the stands, especially a new team, because we only have 3 4 years in existence. So what we've done in this short period of time, there's clubs that have decades that have not even reached our level yet.
Yeah. And was that your first time doing you guys doing something like that, or did you guys have experience
What the with the Discovery Channel
with Discovery
series?
Channel? Yeah. Yeah.
Well, like for me, yes, it's the first time me being on camera, and for my players also, they didn't know how to act or react when they saw that stuff on TV. So Discovery's a billion views, I guess, on TVs, and not, you know. But what we didn't know is that it was a contest. Later on, they told us that there was like X amount of money that was for the winner of whatever. But obviously, the sport that we play, it's a very unconventional type of business where it's not, you can't go into the bank and say, "Oh, can I get a loan?" This doesn't work that way. So unfortunately, we weren't the winners, but I would consider myself or ourselves the breakout stars because my gathering, my understanding from the consensus of viewers is that they will want to watch us because we're pretty much were the lively ones, you know, pretty much gave it a lot of more flair and humor and just different entertainment.
Of course. Of
I
course.
would say that's the word I'm using.
And, wow. And did any other opportunities come out of doing the Discovery Channel for you guys? Did it open up other doors?
Um, I would say credibility,
Of course. Yeah.
credibility in a sense because um, what's the word I'm looking for? Um, and to answer that question in different contexts is the fact that as owners in the lower level, our pleas, our stories that has not been told, it's like goes, goes on to deaf ears. So now that you have that visual, and I'm, it's not like on a public access channel and people are like, oh wow, Discovery Channel, how they get there, and this is what goes on there. And it's a struggle, it's a struggle. And my story is a lot of other individuals, a lot of other owners' story. So
Mm.
that was the respect that we got, and a lot of praise and a lot of thanks, saying that, hey, thank you for putting that out there because someone has to listen to what's going on here. When someone has to see it, we were just brave enough to go in front of the camera and do it, but we did it in a humorous, humorous manner because there was a lot of arguing between my wife and I, and she's comical on the pitch, and so that and just us meeting a lot of individuals because we have a lot of on our board advisors, we have a lot of good people, a lot of good advisors. We have, for instance, we have a former CEO of a UEFA Champions team. We have a former chairman of a English Premier soccer team,
Yeah.
chairman, CEO, and player on the English team. And he's a former. We have a former director of operations, former MLS team. We have a former English Premier player on our advisory board. So it's not like it's all us on us. We're just like surround ourselves with knowledgeable individuals and a lot of people are willing to help. You know, yeah. So that's what it is. And so from that, even though we didn't win, but it's more like an exposure. It's like a more push and say, okay, that's interesting. They got an interesting story, and especially that we're minorities owner, first principal minority owners
Mhm.
of a pro sports franchise. So you have no. Let me back up because that's the wrong wording. We're we're the first principal owners, minority owners. Um, a lot of individuals that you see, they have a small stake in let's say MLS team or NBA team or let's say NFL.
Yep.
But as far as blacks is concerned, that's what it falls under.
Yeah, and how many black owners are within our niche?
Oof. American.
American only. Not many. And
Now you only have less than a handful, I think now.
yeah, and I got to take this time and
Principal owned.
yeah, I got to take the time right now, Black excellence, and congratulate you. You know, congratulations on the New Jersey
Yeah,
teams.
yeah,
Keep going. Yeah.
yeah. And it's not easy because a lot of players, they were like, oh, from a player standpoint, they were like, oh, there's this and that, and it's a bunch of challenges. And I said, you know what, it's no different than what we're facing. It's like people like, yeah, you got it just as far as you can go. You should stay right there.
Mm.
Maybe stay in your lane. But this is a passion for me now. It's like, hey, it's fun. Every day is a different day. It's different challenges, and I embrace those challenges.
So mentally,
So when there's one door that closes, there's three doors that open.
of course, I agree with you 100%. And but mentally, how do you deal with that in your mind when somebody's saying that to you? Do you accept it? Do you just receive it and then maneuver around it and say, I'm gonna keep pushing? What do you do mentally when you receive information like that from outside?
Well, that's a good thing I have because I have my wife. She's the inspiration. She's the whenever it's like, man, F this, man, I don't want to do this no more, man. This is too, why? And there's always a why to it, right? You gotta know what your why is. And that's the why, my why is just because I can do it.
Mm,
You know, my why when I was playing sports, I was too small. You don't know the sport, you're Spanish, you're Hispanic, and so I'm like, okay, well, let me just do it. The fact that got my master's degree, but undergrads in Black Studies. Or why you want to do Black Studies and you're Dominican? Well, why not? Oh, well, your master's degree, and it's always something. In this case, where you get your money from? I got that. I literally got that asked to me in front when we were doing our what you call it You know, you do your interview and they're like, okay, you presenting your project or we're presenting our project. They're like, oh, well, you see these two black faces. Like, where the hell you get your money from? Like, we're not supposed to have any money. Like we don't have any, you know, what are we supposed to be? Like, ask for money all the time? No. There's some aspect that people do have money. It's just there's a different way. You have assets, you have this, you have that. And so that's what constantly has people's mind, or their thought, spinning like, okay, well, how do you get there? How did you manage to do all this? And you don't know crap about soccer.
Mm. Yeah, yeah. I mean, well, you said previously before it's the business side. So it's about understanding the business side of things. And then the next
Yeah, it's
question
the
that I
desire, it's the push.
yeah.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, 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 no. Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I'm saying it's just each time you have that rejection, the desire, the fact that, oh, we don't have a pitch to play on because some organization has you feel like you become a threat to them or you're going to take their kids away. So one of the things that has helped us a lot is the influence and the relationships that we build with local government, at least here. My wife has done campaigns for, and I try to stay away from that. And I didn't know what the value, I mean, I knew what the value was. I'm just not that outspoken individual. She is. And she was like, no, we got to do this because of this reason. I said, okay, well, ultimately it paid off. And then, they accepted us because one thing here in America is that there's a lot of supply. So I'm sorry, there's a lot of demands, but very little supply. So you have all these teams in America, lower level teams, but there's really hardly any place to play. You know, everyone's jockeying for position for their organization to play here. I want to play in this best turf. It's only the only turf. So when you have that, you start canceling others because I want to go play here because this is the coolest place to play. They have the best uniform. They play in the nice location or practice, and so there has to be more involvement. And what we do is presented what we have done is presented our platform and say there's light at the end of the tunnel. For those youth that after 14, 15, for after even college, they're like, what am I going to do now? I can't get a trial at MLS club because they have their own network, their own system. So what do? I got to go outside of the country. I go to Mexico or Canada, wherever, or somewhere else, and they'll look at me like, okay, well, you're gonna take someone else's job, and that you're a threat to them. It's like that's not gonna happen. So they're gonna treat you a particular way. So what we've done is, and even with the help of NISA and other clubs, it's like okay, now we have in a third division an opportunity, to present to our community, and even to go even a lot further is that we have that now ownership and sit on the board of a first division team in Ireland. So once that comes into the fruition, the announcement and acceptance, then now it's like to transition. It's just another pathway instead of just like okay, whether it be a USL or MLS club or whatever, because that's very costly. You could build a club from scratch somewhere else, and you know because that may not be the model that we accept here. Not to say that is bad, but you have to have options, So that's what we
Yeah,
have going
you
on.
you shared a lot right there. That was powerful. And your wife has a lot of driving force and a lot of influence in what's going on as well. What would you say about your wife? What would you say? Like, what are three things?
Well, she helps keeps my sanity.
Yeah.
She helps keep she's the voice basically. Well, she's basically the face of of the organization. So basically she's the CEO. I'll just fall back and play the GM, president, whatever. And I'm pretty much I like to say guiding the invisible hand. Like the book. Um, Basically, so with her entrepreneurial experience and my bureaucratic, experience, it kind of like we have to see in the middle. That's another reason why we had the TV show, is because they were like it was unique. and how, not just from a business standpoint, but from a relationship standpoint. How do you guys get together? You work all day, you see each other every day, every minute, whatever. How do you do it? And so that's something where it's like they had to capture on film. And what she's helped me is realizing that outside of the bureaucracy, there's the entrepreneurial side, which she's very much experienced in. um she's worked in the music industry where it's nothing but hardcore rappers, and they don't really crash, they don't have it, it's hard for them to understand certain things, the way the system works. So it's like, um she had to navigate through that system, which was very tough. So she taking that experience and not just in adding on to the New Jersey Teamsters side, the music and entertainment. So that's another aspect of what we bring into our community, not just a soccer team, but the entertainment part of it also.
You guys are tying it all together.
I don't know if that answered your question because I went totally left or right or whatever, but
No, 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 you're good, you're good. And you know, this brings a totally different life experience with you and your wife being on the same page and being business partners. Would you say that you guys are business partners? That's a completely, totally different life
yeah.
experience. So how is that?
No, it's an experience, and I never, it's not. There's really no standard operating procedures for this. We didn't know how to, you know, what was going to happen. It was just she was relying on me for certain things. I rely on her for certain other things, and sometimes we don't even see eye to eye. Sometimes I gotta sleep in the doghouse or whatever. But that's just the way it goes. It's part of the relationship, and we don't really. Yeah, we mix the two. Sometimes they say, "Oh, you can't mix the two. You should keep it separately." No, for what? It's just if you understand each other, if you're friends first before anything. And yeah, we have our arguments and things of that nature, but it's not uncommon for something like this. Well, it is uncommon to have your wife work with you because we've been tasked to help others try to figure it out. But um, it's just it to me is an experience because she helps me a lot. Focus and it helps keep my sanity and keeps me in line as far as the project is concerned. But on her side of things, from my experience as far as the organizations, she has I have the vision, she just implements it you know into ways that she knows how to get it done. So I wanted to become an agent, she made it happen. I wanted to become a USA boxing official. She made it happen. Making calls. This is what he has this, or what do you need from him? And boom, made the paperwork, made the calls. So in this aspect, she saw an opportunity, and she said, "Okay, I'm not doing anything now. Let me get into this." And she dove right in, and here we are.
Amazing, amazing. Second last question. You mentioned investors, sponsorships. Uh, I wanted to get some insight in that as well because I am looking towards collecting sponsorships for my book to help keep the youth on a positive and productive path through the book. So, for you, I know it's completely different, but how are you going about getting sponsorships in the sense for the club, for the New Jersey team?
Relationships. You gotta. There's a saying for a friend that I met. Basically said, I was keeping in my notes. Hold on a second. Let me see. It says, before I meet someone or I address someone, I say, I always like to make friends before I need anything, basically. So I've created a enormous amount of networks on LinkedIn, like really like close to 10,000 easily. And I, make friends, and my wife knows people. And so with our alignment, not everybody can do the sponsorship, right? Not everybody, because of the pandemic and financials, and so it's about the door swinging both ways. Just like what I would need, I will always ask, well, how can I help you? How can I help your business? How can we use this platform here to to meet your goals, whatever that goal may be. Some I had a bank, I had a physical therapist, I had a restaurant, and so I each one, we established a relationship. They already knew us, and I was like, okay, so for the bank, how can we use our platform to help meet your needs? And say, no, we just like to support our community, local small business. So okay, fine. So that's what happened. The physical therapist, how can we help you? It's like, well, we don't know anybody here. Can you show us the ropes? Can you help us make the connections or whatever? We knew everyone in town. They knew that we had a football team. They used a platform. Everywhere we went, they went. Introduced. They met some people, and from our team alone, they would take care of our players. And in turn, they ended up opening up another facility. So they expanded. The restaurant did the same. So it's about what can you do to help them, basically. So you have to establish a relationship first.
Yes, sir. Yeah. It's a very powerful point. Relationship. Last question. 2026, Canada, United States, Mexico are hosting the World Cup.
We're working on that.
Still being worked on. It's not official.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. No, 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 no. I'm saying we're working on trying to get something here.
Oh.
Hosting some national teams and stuff like that. So, but go ahead. I'll let you finish your question. I'm so sorry.
No, no, no. That was the question I was asking you. I want to know, what are your thoughts on the World Cup happening in 2026? I need to look into the details, but it's Canada, United States, and Mexico hosting it together, correct?
Yes, yes. So my understanding is, yeah, that's the 2026, and I know we circle that, that year, make sure that we're prepared. We've been offered several times to host some some teams, some countries, that were in the area. They needed some scrimmages, this, that, and the other, or practice or friendlies or whatever. But for whatever reason, it never materialized. They always wanted to go up to play the Red Bulls or whomever, and so now we're in a position to, like, okay, now we can host because, like I said, I'm evaluating a couple of projects, capital projects that is going to involve us playing in specific areas. Even though we have our own facility now, which belongs to the city, so we have a partnership with them,
Nice.
basically. But I think that now with my relationship, we'll be able to help facilitate some of those things. So some of those matches or practices or friendlies, we'll be in a good position to be able to host some of those.
Nice, nice.
And that's our goal for the 2026.
Yeah, everyone's positioning themselves for 2026. So hopefully
And you have
before.
to.
What do you think
Yeah.
about like Corona? You think Corona is going to be done very soon, or what do you think about the COVID-19?
Well, there'll be other strains of the virus. It's always like, you know, it's changed. Just like 9/11 changed us. It's different parts. Every decade you have something that goes on. In this instance, it's a virus, right? It's long overdue. Something like this was bound to happen. It just happened now, right? So now, how do you deal with it? There'll be other strains involved, that'll come along, and
Mm.
I think we'll be more equipped now and understand now how to not so much we can prevent it. I'm sure, but how to react to it, because a year ago we was in panic mode. You have all these, body counts piling and even still going on, and but I think in this country, North America, will be a lot more better to handle that. I would think, through education, through experience, and yeah.
Yeah. Well, Alexi, I really appreciate you coming on to this call and doing the interview with us. I hope you all the best with the New Jersey Teamster FC, you and your wife. And yeah, thank you for taking the time.
You still playing?
I'm still playing right now. I'm playing with Naples United FC.
Naples United FC,
Yeah, they play.
Canada.
No, 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 no. They play in the NPSL. I'm down here in Florida, Naples right now.
Oh, so okay, so what's it called again?
It's called Naples United FC. They play in the
Because yeah, I know. Because one of my board of advisor, Enoch Shinumi, he's down there.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I know
You
Enoch.
should meet
Yes,
him.
yes,
Oh, well, there you go. You see.
yeah.
So I know he told me he's involved with NPSL club, and I'm like, is that the same one? But yeah, tell him you spoke to me, and he's like, "Oh, okay," because he says